All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is totally random with Katie. We're up to episode number 13. Hello, Katie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay. So you before we went live, you said you were experiencing a severe storm. Is that right? So windy conditions.
Yeah, I knew like last night at work, I heard it was going to start at like 7 a.m. and go to like 7 p.m. today. And when I woke up, like my whole apartment was shaking and it's been kind of like shaking, especially in the bathroom. I don't know if like the walls are made different or it must be like how the layout is, but like it's so loud in there. It's like, like shaking. So I'm like, great. I think it's supposed to hit us in a few hours. Um, it's going to go so quick, I guess, that no one really can predict what's happening. But it's crazy because I think like up in the Midwest, my sister texted me in the middle of the night saying like a thunderstorm rolled in and it was really loud. And I'm like, that's weird because we're going to probably be getting that tomorrow. And I heard in Texas, they were having like a bunch of wind and like dust storms and stuff like that. So um,
Wow. I didn't know
it,
the storm. It's supposed to hit us tomorrow. I didn't realize it was so bad. So
yeah, well, hopefully it'll die down maybe by the time it gets to you because it's moving at such a quick speed. But
I,
yeah.
so nobody, do you say nobody's sure for certain? Are they predicting possibly tornadoes with this one, like the last storm you had a few months ago, which was with the
I
wind?
think they like don't know. I mean, the weather conditions, like yesterday it was really hot and it was so humid yesterday. And like today it's still kind of humid and windy. So I think if there is a tornado, I think they said it would be like really quick. Like it would go through really quick. But that's also kind of scary because it's like you can't really prepare for it and it's gonna like come. I'm like when I moved here, like I feel like everyone was so used to the tornadoes, like the sirens would go off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and like freaking out, and like everyone was so used to them. And then like we had that huge one in December, and then ever since then, I've always still been scared of them, but I'm like, see, like we need to be scared of them. Um, and like ever since that one, I'm now like terrified. I feel like I should move to Alaska or something.
I don't know about Alaska. That's a really wilderness there. I don't know. You may be
Yeah,
the
that's true.
wilderness
That's
might get you. But the idea though that the tornado is going to be quick is somehow better in some way. I don't know. It's still just as deadly.
yeah, I think maybe because we're not freaking. I mean, people are still freaking out about it. They're like having the schools shut down early so the kids can get home before it happens. Um,
Oh,
but sometimes I feel like I don't know. Like sometimes I don't know if sometimes I wonder like if they say the weather is worse than it is just to like prepare people or like hype it up or
oh,
and maybe it
oh.
won't be that bad or maybe it will be bad. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
That's
You
interesting
never
idea.
know.
So if they're preparing for the worst, and you're trying to say it's worse than it's going to be. That way they'll be over prepared, and that way the more people will be in better shape. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
That'd be
that's the thought. I don't know. It terrifies me though. I'm just like, tell us the truth.
it's like when you're like me, I keep my clocks 5 minutes ahead because I when I wake I'll wake up and I go, oh, I have 5 more minutes of sleep now. And it's like I'm just
Mhm.
tricking my mind a little. So yeah, just think that I have more sleep time. So
Yeah,
alrighty.
I know when we just adjusted our clocks, for some reason isn't my microwave clock keeps going really slow. So like the time now is like 10 minutes different and I keep adjusting it, but it keeps not moving. So I'm like, wait, what time is it? Is it my stove time or my microwave time? But I just got a alert on the weather. I
Oh
don't know if it'll
goodness.
say anything, but oh, they haven't said anything about tornadoes, but 35 miles per hour winds
Okay,
and
that's not
2 inches of rain.
just okay. Well, that's not too bad. 35 miles per hour is not too bad. So, but it's still kind of dangerous. So, hope everyone's safe where you are. And so,
So too.
but all right, alrighty. Well, let's take a look at our question. I forgot to check, make sure you can see that, correct, Katie?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is our question from last week, our last show, I should say. Have you ever had a bad moving experience? And we asked people to leave a comment. 79% overwhelmingly. I think it was pretty high last time too. Was with yes. 12% with no, and 10% with I've never moved. So let's take a look and see. Let me refresh our thing here. All right. Oh, let me bring my magnifier up too so I can see this correctly. Uh, Mark just adding little smiley faces. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Vijeko, Beljuk, Savik, sorry. I want
It's
sure.
Slavic, yeah.
Zahir Coates says, I don't, but I have two female friends move out of their apartment. I was the only guy doing heavy lifting. Other guys came late and got mad and asked at me for taking most of the money because I earned it through hard work. Okay.
Wow.
See, beast mode. Yeah, I lived in a moldy, nasty fin house. Is that something? A fin house.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, for 15
Sounds
years.
bad.
Yeah. And I can't move. Oh goodness. Let's see. There's gnomes. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't understand. What do you mean by bad moving? Move from certain conflict situations or literally move out of places?
Yeah,
Hmm.
like moving out of places.
Yeah, move out places. Yeah, sorry.
Or just
Sorry.
like having a bad experience at your apartment or wherever you live.
Yeah, we got here one reply. He responded. The response to his was moving from house to house, or house to house. So we got there. All right, oops, let me get my magnifier out of here so we can see that. Alrighty, so actually, it was a pretty decent response. I forgot to mention we got 1,200 votes, which is actually pretty
Oh
decent
wow.
for the. So nice. So thanks for everybody for participating. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Um, it seems like a lot of people have bad moving experiences. So I guess if you're having one, you're not alone because it's pretty common.
Yeah, yeah. At least with our audience, anyway. So
Yeah.
the
Oh man, living in a moldy house. That does not sound fun.
yeah. Oh, hold on. We got a question from, hold on, we go here from, let's try to pronounce your name. Sorry, dude. What's your favorite movie, by the way? That's interesting. I would you like to answer that, Katie?
My favorite movie. I don't know. I feel like I always say the last movie I watched because it's like the most recent one I remember. I feel like there's probably some that I'm like, oh yeah, that's like if you said it, I'm like, yeah, that one's my favorite movie. I can't think of one off the top of my head, which is so bad. I just like so many of them that I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I have favorite movie from, I'm sorry, favorite movies from specific genres. Like I could say favorite science fiction movies. I could pick three of them would be the 1968 movie Planet of the Apes, the
Mm.
2003 miniseries Battlestar Galactica, and the 1983 miniseries V, just the letter V by itself. Those are my three favorite science fiction movies. So, but I could not pick a favorite movie specifically. It's just there's just too many. Like you say, it's like I'll be thinking of one and like I'll think, oh, that's really good, and then later on I'll think, oh, I like that one better, and so I wouldn't be able to say a specific movie. So, alrighty. Oh, before we go too far, I do want to remind everybody if you'd like to support what we're doing here, we have a link, an affiliate link, on the description below for NordVPN. So if you'd like to purchase that, you get last I looked, there was about a 70% discount. And if you purchase the service, it helps fund what we're doing. The NordVPN, which I have used, does work very well. You can protect your identity, you can hide your location. And several people have stated that if you want to watch streaming from different parts of the world, you can watch shows from different parts of the world. And where you're meaning that if you're blocked from certain locations, you can watch those videos or movies anyway. So anyway, it's in the link below. If you decide to do that, we really appreciate that. And we thank you for the support. So, alrighty. So we had a question we were discussing before we went live, a question to ask our viewers for today. How did you want to
Yeah.
ask this?
We could say it was either like how many times have you started a new job or how long have you been at your current job?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll ask, oh, yeah, we can ask both. Okay. How many times have you your job? I I'm just curious. How many times have you started a new job, Katie?
Well, I guess should we make it more specific? Because I'm trying to think like are you talking about like a part-time job? Because then I've started probably more, but like an actual career job,
Hmm.
like once. But yeah, so I guess is this like should we specify in there part-time and full-time or just like how many times have you started a new full-time job?
That's a good question. I I guess both maybe. I mean, I don't know. Because I've had lots of part-time jobs that were considered like a full-time status. So,
Mm.
like when I was teaching, it was technically a part-time job, but I was still head of the department I was in. So,
Okay.
so I mean, it held more responsibilities than just a regular, say, part-time position. So it wasn't, and I was actually in charge of hiring other teachers to teach beneath me at the time I was there. So I mean, it's part-time jobs can sound like they're not that um, um, important, but they can be very important based on that. So
Right. So how many times have you started a new job, either full-time or part-time?
me, oh, I think I
Or
counted. Uh,
yeah.
about 10 years ago, I went back through my head. I think back then it was like 30 times, and since then it's probably so. And I'm talking from yeah, I just went from job to job to job, and so I went to school. Then after I went to school, that was another job to job, and then when you're in radio, well, it's sometimes you get laid off in radio pretty quickly because there's just so many buyouts and mergers with companies that I got laid off
Mhm.
quite a few times. So that doesn't help, but that increases the number of jobs, of course, is what I mean to say.
If
So
they lay you off, do they pay you or do they just say like, "Nope, you don't get any more money, like find something else?" Like do
most
they
of the time, yeah, most of the time I was they would just lay me off and say no. But the last time I got laid off from Clear Channel, I will say they gave me a pretty decent severance package.
like
So
a severance
uh,
package? Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that
nice.
was actually pretty decent. And when I was working, and I also want to say that I was working part time. I told you part time jobs I think should count. When I was working at Shadow Traffic, when I was an airborne traffic reporter, I was part time, but it really was like a full time position because I worked there like 6 7 days a week. So, and I was working several hours a day, even though still I was technically a part time position. It felt like it was full time when I was there. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, let's go back to
I
comments
feel like I'm
before.
trying to count like as you were talking. I feel like I've only really had 7 jobs.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So I guess 30 jobs sounds like a monstrous amount. I think it's actually more than that. If I go back, I think it might
Oh,
be closer to 35 or 40 jobs, to be honest. So
oh my gosh. Well, I guess it's good to have all that experience.
let's
Oh my
see.
gosh, I feel like no matter what time of day it is, I'm always yawning. The Green
Oh,
Mile, that's a good movie.
great movie. Yes, I agree. It's a good movie. So, alrighty. All right. So, yeah. So I would say, yeah. Let's put that in there. How many we can say part time and full time, and we can give like a range of like we'll say like 0 to 10 or 10 to 20 and all that stuff. So give me a second here while I type that in there. And full time. What was the other question? Part of the question we wanted to ask?
Um,
What kind
how
of
many years have you
something?
been at your current job?
Oh, okay. All right. Oh.
That'd be a whole new question.
Okay. Uh, we did you want to ask two separate questions? Is that what you're saying? Like two, and then put it on a separate poll? We could do that if you like.
Yeah, maybe that would make it
Okay.
easier. So
Alrighty.
this could be like 0, we could start smaller, like 0 to 5, and then like 5 to 15.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. And then 15 to 30 and 30 plus.
Okay. Actually, does that look good? Like a little hyphen in there? Does that look good? Like you do like a zero
Yeah,
dash? Okay. And what did you say? 15. What was that?
like
Actually,
15 to 30.
I should make this 6 to 15 there.
Oh, yeah. So like 16 to 30,
Okay.
and then like 31 plus or something.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Does that look good? How many times do you start a
Yeah,
new job? We'd have all that. Okay, cool.
we
I will
could do
post that.
31 and fine.
All right. All right. Now, what was the other? I'm sorry. What was the other question again?
How many years have you been at your current job?
Oh, okay. Any? And I gotta say, in conjunction with that, how many? What's you could say also ask what's the longest you've ever been at a job too? I guess.
Oh,
So
yeah, I guess should we put that instead?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably better because in case you just like started a recent job or something.
Yeah. Oh, how should we phrase that? Um,
Um,
what's the longest you've
what's
been
the
at a job?
longest amount of time you've been at a job?
Okay. The longest. Oops, excuse me here. You've been at a job? Yeah,
Mhm.
job or career. We could put your our career. Or how would you rephrase job? We want to put our career maybe too. I don't know. Or, is
You
that
could
good
just put
though?
job because job is career. Job
Okay.
could be a career, or
Okay.
your career is your job.
I guess we could do the same like for this, like 0 to 5 years, maybe, and then so forth, like we did before.
Sure.
Okay.
Or maybe, yeah, like 0 to 5, and then maybe like 6 to 10, maybe a little bit smaller, because,
Okay.
or six, yeah.
Oops. Yeah. Let's see. Six. You said 6 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 to 10, maybe like 11 to 15, and then 15 plus.
Okay.
Because if you're at 15, a job for 15 years, that's dedication.
Oops. 11
16.
to. So I would say 15 there. Okay. And then 16 plus is what you said. Yeah. So
Mhm. You could
16.
probably just put like,
What's that? Oops. I can't
oh,
spell it. Oh,
you
sorry.
could probably just put like a plus sign, like 16 and then a plus sign.
Oh, okay. That works. There you go. Alrighty. So, actually, did I say, okay, I got it right there. What's the longest you've been at a job? 16. Yeah, okay. Okay, I know. The reason I'm asking if we should put something else in there is because I know someone's going to leave a question. What kind of job? What do you mean job? Do you mean this? And it's like, so but I think that'd be good enough. So,
I guess you
alrighty.
could say at a job or career.
Okay.
What's the longest time? What's the longest amount of time you've been
Amount,
at your job or career?
amount at a job or career. Okay. So amount of time. Okay. That look good?
Sure.
Okay, we'll post that. So, what's your longest amount of time at a job?
Um, I guess probably I've been like working with this freelance company, and I was doing it more before, but I still help them out from time to time. So I guess like I still consider myself an employee there, because like I just worked with for them the other day. And I started back there like 5, 6 years ago, probably like 5 years, 5, 6 years was probably the longest time I've been at a job.
Oh, okay. The longest time I had was 7.5 years. I started in June of 2004, and then the company I was working for merged with another company, and everybody got laid off, and that was
Um,
October of 2011. So when I got laid
okay.
off, so it's like 7.5 years. So that was
So
the
you
longest I.
wouldn't have quit if you didn't have to. You had to get laid off because of whatever reason. So
What? Say
that's
it
a good
again.
thing that you like that job. That just that like you didn't leave because of another opportunity or because you didn't like it or whatever. It was more so because you got laid off. So it must have been a good place. Like you must have really liked that job.
No, actually,
Or
it's the worst. Actually, I consider it one of the worst jobs I ever had. So,
oh,
and
why were you there that long?
I think because it was I was what I did was I started my own business at the same time, and I was using the business to help fund my business. Using my job to help fund my business. So I needed the extra
Mm,
money to keep it going. So, and so I started my business in 2006, and it's still going today. So technically, I guess my business would be my longest job if you count that as a job. So I've been doing
right.
that for almost 16 years. So, but I started it while I was there, and then for the like 5 years I was working there, last 5 years I was working there, I was also running my business, and it really helped me, get going. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to start my business from scratch without a job. So that's why I did that.
Right. Like
So
to have money. You need money to make a startup. So
yeah, we got gamers gameplay saying hello, hello back. So
um,
yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's the as far as and that was one thing I would add to about that was it was the job I hated so much that was the motivation for me to start my own business as well. So
mm,
it was like I got tired of I'm not going to give specifics. It was just a bunch of crap I had to deal with, and I was like, okay, this is it. I've been thinking about starting my own business, so let me go ahead and start it now, and so I did. So
yeah, sometimes you need those experiences. It's always interesting, like, you might be in, like, a situation, and whether you're, like, let go or you just don't like your job or, whatever, and you're, like, stuck in that kind of, like, headspace, like, "I don't like it, whatever," but then that's the time to then figure out what you want to do and maybe like make your own path and have it be something kind of different, because like those are always the moments where when I'm like the most upset, like because I just like lost a job or like whatever, or like I didn't like a job, is like when you really like kick yourself to like do something harder and do something that you want to do and like you push yourself more. Because if you're just like stable in a job and like you're happy, like you're not really, you may be growing, but you're probably not growing as much as you could be if you were like pushing yourself to something else. You're more like
Mhm.
comfortable.
Yeah,
I guess it
yeah.
just depends.
Yeah, right. It would depend on the situation too. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there are people who have started businesses who actually love their job, but they wanted to go on their
Yeah.
own anyway. So yeah, and
Yeah.
there's people like you hear like people who like they want to retire, but they want to invest into a business like maybe a restaurant or something, or maybe a hotel or something, or a small inn or something to live their retirement. So they give up their regular job and then go do another business as well. Like something like that.
True.
So.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's see. We will come back to that. So you were telling me before we went live, you had like an open house with what was that going on at your
Oh,
apartment? You're in the process of moving. So everyone reminding everybody, you're in
yeah.
the process of moving, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of what sparked this question about jobs, is because I'm switching jobs. So I kind of like was curious how long people stay at jobs, and like finding job tips and stuff like that. But anyway, perfect timing, I guess. Like I'm leaving and my apartment has this open house. Last weekend they had it, and at first like we got messages like on our phone, like we get emails and like messages when they're like doing some type of event or something. And it was like, don't park by the dog park the next few days, and like we're going to be out of the office for a few days like planning our open house, and we're getting a petting zoo. And I'm just thinking, what? Like it's a cute idea, but the fact that they're like, and in my head, I'm like, well, are they bringing like horses and cows, or are they just gonna like be bringing like bunnies in cages, or like what kind of petting zoo is this? Because I've gone to like, I went to a pumpkin patch over like Halloween, and they were like, oh, a petting zoo, and they literally just had like one like llama standing there with a girl like holding it and like a bunny, and that was it, and they called it a petting zoo. So I'm like, but then there was like some that I've gone to that had like a whole array of animals. So I'm like, what is this gonna be like at an apartment complex? Like, surely it's not that huge. Um,
And is this
and
to
then like,
specify?
so
Yeah, I was gonna say to specify,
what?
this is your apartment that you're leaving from, not the one you're going.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So this is the one I'm leaving from. So anyway, Saturday comes along and I see like all the like trucks coming with their like barn carriers, and I'm like, what the heck? And the funny thing is they're putting it in the dog park. Like I'm hoping they spray that, and like as like if I had a dog, I would not want to put my dog in there after there were like, they literally had two cows, they had three ponies, I think they had a horse, like a mini horse. It wasn't a big horse. They had like cages of smaller animals. Like that whole dog park was filled with animals, and it's not very big. So like to me, I'm just thinking like, I feel like they're gonna have so many pest issues after that. Like you're bringing in farm animal. Like I don't really know the protocol. I don't know if like these barn animals like at petting zoos are like, they're probably vaccinated and hopefully have their flea vaccine or flea shots or whatever they need. Like you would hope that, and you would hope they would like clean that out. But just like the idea of putting a barn, like if I was coming to rent this apartment, like if I was coming to the open house and I saw that, I might be like, oh, that's cute, but like I wouldn't want to, like, do they do this all the time? Like I don't want barn animals like in the dog park where I would take my dog somewhere where I lived. Like I would just think of like pest issues with that. I don't know,
Yeah.
that's just me. And then the fact I looked it up, because I looked up the company, and it was like $800 for this, like for them to bring that, and I'm just thinking like, is that why they're like, I guess like we pay rent and stuff, whatever, but like I know they always like they brought in like valet trash, which I guess is like becoming a new thing, but they charge a lot for that. So I'm like, and they
What
have all
was
these like hidden random fees, and I'm like, so our rent is going towards these barn animals, and they say they don't have enough money, so they have to raise our rent, but then they're able to do that. And I know it's probably something fun, and I'm probably being bitter about it, but I'm just like, it seems, I feel like there could have been something else, like a bounce house or something else than like that. I mean, it was cute, like, it looked really fun, but I just and I would love to go to something like that, but it just, like, in the space where you're living and all these apartments are so close together, it just seems like an interesting idea. I don't know.
I never heard of a petting zoo. Is that ever for a
Oh,
part? Is that
really?
is that common for your area? Is that for I mean I know what petting zoos are. I mean for an open
Yeah.
house is what I mean for
Oh,
is it-
yeah. No, I mean, I told my friends about it, and they're like, "What?" Like and then I, like, sent pictures and even, like, to people at my work kinda joking, and they're like, "What the heck? Like, why are there, like, cows at your apartment complex?" Like, it would be like, I get there's petting zoos are awesome, they're great, like, it just seems like a weird concept to put them inside a small dog park. Like, it's not like the dog park's probably as big as, like, a living room, and to put all those animals in there and, like, have I don't know, it just seems like a weird idea to me,
and
but
yeah, and also the idea of I mean if you're saying this right, are you saying that people are supposed to be petting the cows? So-
yeah. I mean, there was, like, a big black cow. I mean, I'm guessing it was, like, a nice cow being and it wasn't gonna, like it was, like, it's used to being around humans, but, yeah, there were kids in there. I had to go to work at some point, but, like, I saw the first half hour of it, and there was pretty many people coming over to it. So, I mean, hopefully, it was a success for them.
yeah,
Uh,
that's interesting idea for sure. I spent
yeah.
about 3 weeks on a farm when I was like 19 years old, my uncle's farm up in Pennsylvania, and the animals there were it was like they wouldn't be considered for a petting zoo, but I do remember we had
Mhm.
pigs. Were there any pigs at this petting zoo thing? Did they
No,
have
pigs
any?
are so mean. Like, I don't think I mean, at least all the pigs that I've met.
Yeah, I was gonna say the pigs that he had were, the female pigs would if I w they were about 300 pounds. I walked into
Mhm.
the area where they were feeding the baby piglets, and whenever I got too close, they would start to charge at me, and they were behind a big fence, so they couldn't get to me, but yeah, they were very mean. So,
Yeah, pigs are like unless they're like I think it's Ariana Grande, she has like a pet pig, like, I think there's some types of pigs that are nice, like pet kinda pigs, but yeah, like a normal farm pig, like, I don't think are very nice. They're like yeah, like, you have to be careful even going in their pen, I've heard, and, like, feeding them, or, like, if you have to go in to, like, get something out, like, you have to be really careful and, like, bring something with you in case they charge at you.
would you remember
Yeah, pigs are
talking about talking about
pigs are
pigs
pretty
as
dangerous.
pets? Did you ever see, I didn't mean to cut you off there, remember what you're gonna say. Do you
Wow.
ever see, do you remember the potbelly pig craze? Is that still a thing? It was like
Well, and I think that's the pig she had, and it was cute. Like, it's like, they're cute, but
yeah.
I don't I think that might have been a few years ago, right?
Well, I remember it was, like, back in the '90s, but I remember there was a big craze and
Oh.
people were buying a whole bunch of potbelly pigs, and it was like a everyone was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the new thing for pets," and then shortly after, people realized that they weren't making as good of a pet as they thought they were, so they were getting rid of them. So kind of I wasn't sure if it faded off into obscurity and people just didn't remember it if it was still a thing. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
well,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
and then, as far as, I mean, was there any other, interesting animals besides the cows and is there anything that really stood out, I
I should
guess?
have went over there, but I had to get to work. Just based on I know I took a picture. I wonder if I still have it on my phone where I can kinda zoom in and see, um, I could probably so, here it hasn't been too busy yet. I don't know if you can or if there's a glare.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
so
I
it's
see
not
it.
that big. And it doesn't look like there's that many animals, like, from the picture because 'cause I'm kinda far away, but they looked way bigger, like, than because like, that's the cow, like, you can't see the cow because it's walking, it's, like, over there. It looks, like, smaller, but it looked huge inside the fence, like, there was a cow, it looks like there was 3 ponies, there's one over here, like, kind of like a miniature horse. Um, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a llama. And then they had like a table set up. Oh yeah, there's a bigger picture of the cow. I got just of the cow.
Oh, it does look tiny. Yeah, it looks really tiny, but you're saying that's huge
Yeah,
though, right?
but I'm up on the 3rd floor looking down at it, so it looks small from where I am, but I could tell it was big when I walked outside.
Well,
Um,
my concern would be the odor. I don't know if I guess but they probably have there's probably not much of that, I guess. So,
Yeah, and it was outside. I don't know, like, I would have thought, like, something, like, for an open house, maybe, like, some food trucks or, like, a bounce house or something more like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a cute idea for other things, but just for an open house seems a little odd.
Is it where you're living or this where your apartment is, the one you're moving from, is that like a rural area? Is it like a farm area? Or
Uh, well, the funny thing is we're surrounded by rural areas, and it technically is more rural than, like, a bigger city, like, where I'm from, but it's one of the but, like, anywhere else anybody else that lives within, like, 15, 20 minutes outside of this town, city, would consider this the city because this is, like, where the mall is, where all the shopping and the restaurants, and then if you go out 15, 20 minutes, then you get to more rural areas. So, if anything, like, where I am is like, the city. It's not a city because it's not huge, but it's where all like the shopping and um like restaurants and stuff are. Not everything's gonna go off on me. Um, but yeah, so it's not like there are a lot of people that have farm animals, I think. Like they like raise like chickens and cows and pigs and horses and I don't know if a horse is a farm animal, maybe. But like there
that's
is
good.
a lot of that around here, but not in an apartment.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I've never even I guess it was, I guess it's try to emphasize the kid-friendly attitude. Is that what they're talking about? As is
For
there a
the
lot of kids? Are a lot of kids where you at the apartment?
Um, like, it's weird because I never really see any out, but, like, when they had this, I did see several kids go to it. I feel like it's a mix because I've ran into people, like, at the gym that are, like, older couples, like, older people, but then, like, when the pool's open, I feel like it's people more in their, like, 40s and 50s, and then, like, occasionally, like, in the summer, I'll see some kids outside playing, but it's not too many. Or like sometimes I'll see some kids and families. So I feel like it's a really big mix of people that live here.
Hmm.
And then there's also like people that are closer to my age as well. So I think yeah, it's a pretty decent mix.
It's interesting. You'd think that they would, I guess, when we hear about kids, oftentimes you might think like noise and maybe just being
Mhm.
annoyances, and I don't know. I guess you would think they would try to say no, we don't have that kind of thing here, but I guess they're trying to push the whole kid thing. I guess so. And
That's interesting you say that because yeah, like if people are coming to an open house and like you see a barn, like animals, like a barn that is more geared towards kids. So then you would think, oh, there's a lot of kids here. And I wonder like if they're like, I mean, who knows what their degrees are? Maybe they're not like maybe they don't know marketing, but that is an interesting aspect because like as like a single person or like if you were just like by yourself, like a single person or like maybe a couple and you, or like an older couple, like and you didn't want like a lot of noise and kids and you see this barnyard, you're probably thinking like, oh, this complex is filled with kids. Like we don't want to live here or like we don't want all that noise. But if you're a family that has kids, you'd be like, oh, this is great. This is like a family place and like there's lots of kids and our kids can hang out with each other. Oh my gosh. So I think so it is interesting. Like you do have to kind of see, and maybe there are more kids here than I thought. And like maybe that is the thing. Maybe they did market it well. But now I'm questioning, like, yeah, like if there is that is something someone should take into consideration is like what is the demographic of your complex? If you have more adults, then maybe you should have something like a wine tasting or something like that, or something
oh
more geared towards that
yeah,
their age.
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Um,
Yeah, so. We got to. Yeah, let me before we go too far. Gamers gameplay. That's are you live and not reading chat? No, we are leading. We are reading your questions. Don't worry, we are reading them. And at your, I'm not sure at your back one. She how? I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. Maybe you could rephrase the question. So, so, but so basically, this is all gearing toward the gearing towards a new job you're doing. So as far as like we talked about our question,
mhm.
starting a new job is the how many times have you actually started it? I mean, like you gave your answer. You like six, or was it 6 or 7 times? You said how many that you started a new
Yeah,
job?
probably like 7. I know I've like DoorDashed or Uber Eats or whatever, but I don't really consider that as I like it's a job, but I never did it like full time, that I was just like doing it on the side. I don't know if you consider that as like a job. Like I didn't have to interview for it. But I would say probably 7 times. I've
Sometimes. And is it, would you consider it to be stressful, great, really? How would you consider that? I can tell you whenever I moved on, like I'd find a job and it would, before I got into radio, it was basically me jumping from job to job. And I had this, there's a term for this. Well, I would jump from job to job thinking that the
yeah.
next job would be better, and it would end up being just as bad as the previous job because I didn't really like the work, and it wasn't really the people per se, it was just the work. And I thought if I moved to another job, it would be better, and it ended up being just the same. And I kept on. That's why I realized I had to make a career change and finally get into radio. And that's why I went to school and got the internship and moved on. But and that, for me, that was a problem I had to work out. Like later on, years later, I found out that there's a psychological term for that, and it's people a lot. There are a lot. Not everyone goes through that, but there are a lot of people that do go through that. And I finally got out of that. It was like a rut, and I finally got out of that. And then every job I've had since I've gone into radio is either just trying to expand my career or because it just seemed like an opportunity that might be pretty good, and I just tried out. Whether or not it actually turned out to be good was, I found out later on down the line. But it was, for me, it was more of a just an opportunity. Depending on what time of period of my life, like I said, it was a rut. Either I was jumping from job to job,
Mhm.
or later on with my radio career, it was more like just trying to advance my career, or trying to find an opportunity that might be better for me. So, what would you
So
say yours was?
what is that psychological term?
I don't know. That's the thing. I can't
Oh,
remember. I
it's
I yeah, I remember, somebody talking about that like a few years back. Like they were making a video, and they're talking about how if you jump from job to job to job, you think somehow the next one's going to be better, and it turns out it's
Mhm.
just the same. And I don't know if he gave a term for it or not. I was like, oh, that was my life back in when I first started, when I
Yeah.
was and then I realized, that's when I realized other people go through the same thing. But yeah, I don't know if someone can mention that, in the comments, tell us what that is. But yeah, I don't know exactly what that is. So, but I hate it. I hated that kind of idea because I kept on thinking to
Yeah.
myself, this is going to be so much better. And it's like, nope, it was exactly the same. Like 4 or 5 months into it, it's like, yeah, this is bad. And it's like, I just jumped to another job. It was the same thing all over again. So,
Well, and you can like that can be in many aspects in your life. Like that could be like the same thing in relationships. Like you think, oh, well, the next one could be better. The next one could be better. And they might just be the same because it's something like internally that like that person has to like fix or change. And it's not necessarily the people or it's not necessarily the job. It's like maybe for that, like you didn't like that type of job or like, so you thought like then that's why you had a career change or like you didn't, maybe that person was acting a certain way like in a relationship and they kept thinking it was someone else but it was like oh wait it's my anxiety or something like that's like affecting that because I know like I have anxiety and stuff so like I feel like and sometimes I'm just like oh it'll be different with someone else oh it'll be different with someone else but it's like oh wait no it's happening with every single person it's me like I need to change that um
yep, yeah, but
but
relationships are a little, I would say that's a little different, wouldn't you say? I mean, because I've been on, like, several years ago, I used to date a lot. I go out and I'd meet a woman and go out like a couple of times, and it just didn't feel right. Or maybe I felt a partial attraction, but not fully like I wanted to be committed to this person. It's that's kind of dependent on the other person, don't you think? As so much, or
right it's more so I guess like if you're like dating someone and like you have a serious relationship and then you're like maybe I'll try it or maybe like you break up for whatever reason and then you try another one but that also could be just like growing and it's just not the right fit either so I don't know I'm
yeah,
sure like
I,
many different aspects.
yeah, I just, the idea though that you're jumping from relationship to relationship because you think you're going to get a better one. I mean, is that? I guess there's a thing. I wouldn't. I can't see myself doing that with relationships. That's, I just, I try to make it work out. And if it doesn't, then I'll gradually move on to, maybe break up and then move on to another one. But if it seems like
Mhm.
it's working, I I'm not going to say, well, to myself, well, this isn't really what I want, so I'm going to try to find another one right away. I just try to, see if we can, if it will work out. If not, I'll just gradually move. Like I said, just gradually move on. I'm not going to try to jump into another one right away. So that's
Right.
the
And I
job.
think
The thing I
both
had with the job was I was trying to get out of it immediately. I just wanted it gone, and I just wanted to see if I could get something better. So I mean, I'm not saying your statement is correct. I'm not saying that people wouldn't live like that. It's just, for me, that would be, I wouldn't be able to relate when it comes to relationships.
oh yeah and like not yeah no like not everyone's like that but I think there are people out there that are like that like because with the dating age like where there's you can just swipe through people. You might be like, oh yeah, she's cool or he's cool or whatever, and then be like, oh well, this person looks a little bit better. This person seems a little bit better, and they always like want to try to see who they can like who would be better and who how far they can go or like you know what I mean. Like I think there are people out there that are like that, but
Yeah.
not saying like you're like that. But I'm just saying that there's like other things, um, other things in life that like you can do that same concept with. That's not just jobs to make it more relatable. Like if someone else is dealing with something like that, then
Mm.
maybe it's not career. Like for you, it was career.
Right. So you never, as far as your career goes, you never experience you. As far as your career, as like we don't have to get like details, but I mean, as jumping from job to job, was it more beneficial for you? Do you think it was something like a step up from the previous job? Was it to advance your career?
Um, no, well, like the jobs that I've mostly like changed, like the 5 or 6 in the beginning were more like part-time jobs. So it was more so just me at the end of high school or in college and just being like, oh, well, I need money, so I'm gonna try working at a fast food restaurant. And then I'm just like, you know what? I don't really like washing dishes and like dealing with like I was like, I'm gonna work at a gym so then I can get a free membership and like worked at like the childcare in the gym. And then I was like, and then my neighbor opened up a pizza joint. So I was like, oh well, I'll work there and help him out. And then like at one point I had 3 jobs and I was like, well, I can't do all these jobs. I have to like leave one of them. And then I ended up then when I went to college, I like left those jobs. So then I found a new job. So it was all just like these little part-time kind of jobs. It wasn't until um like my first radio job that was part-time where then once I left there that I like grew to a bigger job and then to like the next step. But all those other like little part-time jobs were kind of just more so to make money. And then like I found a different part-time job I'd be more interested in just based on like what I enjoyed.
Oh, okay. Okay. So basically it was just jobs to make money at first, and then now it's just basically your career is advancing as you move along, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm
That's
to a
good.
point like, yeah, like, do you stay in your career path or do you try to do something different? Like, you know, like, I don't know. I'm always like, there's so many jobs out there. Like, how can you just pick one for your whole life? But then it's like, you do have to stick with it for a while to like grow at it and learn it and do good at it. And like, um, I don't know. There's so many things that I'm like, I could be this, I could be that's why I think I want to be an actor because then I can play all those roles, like all those types of jobs in like a movie. And then I could be like, yeah, I did that.
The
But
I got to jump back. You said you had 3 jobs at one time. I experienced that.
mhm.
I had I had somehow I was able to work my schedule in where I was working, I think 4 jobs. I was working at WGAY WRC Shadow Traffic, a company called Radio America, and somehow I was able to balance all of them into to one. And it was like I was always just working, working, working. And there's a thing once in a while I say when I'm doing these shows. I might have said it with you. That be from the period of 1997 to 2013. I was just so devoted to my career that I wasn't focusing on like popular culture, like movies and TV shows. So people will say mention things. I go, I have no idea what you're talking about, and they'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, real? It's because I was just so focused on my career that I just had so many jobs, and finally was able to dwindle it to, move it down so it was just one job. So which
Mhm.
was it was made it so it was more easier to live my life. But yeah, for a long time I just wanted to advance and get so much experience because I was just so I just wanted my career to explode and go somewhere. And I worked here, here, and here, so I was willing to do all these jobs at all these different places at one time. But it really
Mhm.
it destroyed my personal life. So um, I, I,
Yeah.
I I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but at the same time, it did help my career at this, because I had all this experience to fall back on. So,
Well, that's one thing you have to be careful of in jobs is like, and myself that have done this too, like having a balance between your career and your personal life because like you do want your career but you also like need to stay sane and like not just have everything be career focused. Like you need to go out and have friends or like have someone to talk to or hang out with someone every once in a while or like you lose that interaction with people, that's not like work related. So it is like important. That's like I think where I am now. Like at the past 2 years, I've just done like everything work because like my schedule was so like was nights and everyone that I wanted to hang out with could only hang out at night and I was working, so I didn't really ever get to do anything. So I was kind of like in a point in my life where I'm like, my phone will not stop ringing.
is
I'm
it
kind of
is
at
it
a it's all different people. Like I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I
um,
wasn't sure if it was like weather alerts, like saying the storm is coming or something. So
no,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying there.
no, but like yeah, I think it's important to like just have that balance, because otherwise yeah, like you can start to get depressed, or like even if you do love your job, like I love my job, but I feel like at like some points I'm just like I can never do anything, like I can never go out, and then when friends would ask me to hang out I'd always have to turn them down, and then they stopped asking me to hang out because they're like, well, she can never come out anyway. So um yeah, you have to be able, or you just have to find friends that have a similar work schedule as you.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
and
before, oh sorry.
I was going to say the other thing is, at least in my experience, because I was willing to get work so much, companies were willing to take advantage of my generosity as well, which is something they, for me at least, I knew that they were taking advantage of me, but at the same time, I was like, well, if I can get more experience out of this, that would help my career later on. So, and
Right.
that's something you have to be. I always tell people to be very careful of. Don't let them take advantage of you, because they will, and especially if you're I consider myself to be very devoted and very hard worker, and I was very much, willing to learn and make sure everything went the way it was supposed to. And so a lot of people, it was very obvious that people were taking advantage of what I was doing, because I would work like I would do like morning and afternoon traffic reports, and in the middle of the day I'd be doing producing radio shows at a small little radio outlet, and I'd be doing a part-time board operating
Oh,
at
wow.
another music radio station. So I was like jumping all over the place. It was just, and then same, all in the same day. So, and just
Yeah,
rushing around from place to place. So,
yeah, and that's not good for like you need to be able to take a time to like relax and like sit and eat or something too.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I will say there was one time that you said that I actually worked 24 hours straight. I went from one job, and like the schedule just happened to work out. I went from job. I left the job, and like within an hour I had to be to the next job, and then an hour after that I had to be to the next. So it basically totaled out to 24 hours straight of working. I only did that one time, but it was like
you're tired.
yeah, it was really weird. And I that's why I started realizing maybe I should hold off. Maybe I should slow down a little bit here. So,
Yeah.
so I was gonna
Oh,
say, so I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you want to go ahead and say what you're gonna say?
oh, I was just gonna say I have some tips for like starting new jobs because I've just been kind of like reading. So if anyone's starting a new job or they're in their job but just want to
Oh yeah,
use.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess like when you're starting a new job, some important things to do are to, well, one, like confirm your schedule and make sure you know and understand like when you're supposed to be there, and
Oh,
like research out the company because like you want to make sure you know people's names. Oh, what?
you broke up a little bit when you said that. I'm sorry. You'll have to repeat that one.
Oh, just so like you want to research the company before you get in there, so you kind of like remember like everyone's name, so you're not just like, who are you again, or just like, where am I? What am I doing? Um, Confirm your schedule, like know like when you're supposed to be there and like what you're supposed to kind of do for the day, which I think would go along with training. Like you can figure that out and like get a test run kind of everything. Like you want to. This is saying like find a buddy. Definitely like arrive early and don't be late because you're starting a new job, you want to make a good impression and you shouldn't be late. And also like that's one there's one like I always feel like I can never ask questions or like oh they're going to like think I'm asking too many questions and being annoying or something, but I think it's important like right away to ask your questions so then and ask like even if it's the first day and you're asking a lot of questions and then maybe you never really have to ask any again, but you got them all out so you have all the answers you kind of need. Like don't ever be afraid to ask a question,
Mhm.
um, because otherwise, like, if you don't ask and then you do something and then you get in trouble for it, they're gonna be like, "Well, why didn't you ask?" kind of thing. Because I've had that happen before. And make sure, like, to meet with your manager one on one before you start to kind of get a feel for like what you're supposed to be doing and like when you're going to be having like meetings, to see how well like you're progressing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
I
and I
will
guess
say,
yeah.
go ahead. You go. Future. I'll
Oh,
remember.
no, just, like, I was just gonna end it, like, kinda, like and just, like, enjoy it too, like, you wanna you don't wanna, like, have a job where you don't like it, so you wanna be able to, like, embrace it and be happy and not feel like stressed out and stuff. Like you're starting a new job and that's like where you're going to work. So you don't want to make it miserable. I don't know.
I want to jump back to what you said about remembering people's names. I've worked at places, and I'll meet somebody, and then I'll just never remember their name. I'll work at a place for a year or even 2 years, and I'm like, I still don't remember the person's name. But by then it's like, oh, I'm too embarrassed to ask them
Mm,
so I'll just, and then no one mentions their name, so I just don't know them. I just say, hey, how are you? And I was like, I won't mention their name when I'm
yeah,
next to
I
them.
remember the name.
Yeah.
There's like tricks like how to do that. Like you introduce, well, that's more, I guess, like if you're at a networking event, you say like, "Hey, I'm Katie, and this is," or and like, "Why don't you introduce yourself to this person?" And then you can be like, "Oh yeah, that's their name." Or like, I'm trying to think like what you do in the workplace, like I guess, or you could give them a piece of paper or something and be like, "Hey, can you like sign this?" Or "Hey, can you write your name down?" Or like maybe get like a card for like someone's birthday and then like watch everyone that writes their name so you know who's who.
And
I
hopefully
mean,
you could read. They have handwriting that you can read too.
yeah, otherwise it's like a scribble and you're like, "What? Why'd you sign your name like that? Isn't it what's your name?" Just kind of like joking about it. Or you could like, yeah, make a joke and be like, "Yeah, what's your name again?" And then they might just laugh and be like, "Ha," and walk away. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's a guy I worked with. His name was it turned out his name. I worked with him for a few years, and I just couldn't remember his. I didn't know his name, and finally people start. He went by two names, his actual name, and he went by Jake. So
Oh.
then I was like, after a while, like, oh, then I wasn't sure which to call him because I couldn't remember how he introduced himself originally.
Mhm.
So I just kept on, even though I was there for like eventually 7 years, I still never called him by his name ever the entire time I was working there. Even though we were friends and everything, I just never, I just wasn't sure how to refer to him after that. So all because
Yeah.
I forgot at the beginning. So
Well, and I think, yeah, I know there's like tips and tricks people do. Like, okay, well, their name's Jake and they look like a Jake, or like, I don't know, Jake, maybe he's wearing an orange shirt. So you're like, orange shirt Jake. And then you just always remember, oh, it's orange shirt Jake. He was wearing the orange shirt, or like something like that, like something stupid, but it helps you remember their name, or maybe their name like rhymes with something, or like
yeah,
they like coffee and their name is, I don't know, or like, I don't know, Cody and soda, or that's, I guess, doesn't rhyme, soda, coda, or I don't know, just stupid little like rhymes or jokes or something to help you remember people's
mhm.
names. I know there's like
I,
that.
I will say we've got to wrap everything up here real quick, but I will say this: when I was teaching, it was actually easier because I had a role in front of me. So my students at the beginning of the semester, I would have 20 students on average per semester, and so it was
Ooh,
because I had their names written out, and I would actually take the time
yeah.
to actually write their names out for grades. I was actually a lot easier to remember, even though like I would often have new students for each semester that I never met before. It was actually a lot easier just because I had written their names out. So that's another idea. Maybe just
Mm,
when you meet somebody, just like write their name down really quickly, and hopefully that would maybe you'll hopefully that would keep you to help you remember it later on. So um
yeah, I'm sure teachers have lots of tips. I don't know how they remember all their kids' names. I mean, I think I remember we had to write our names on like papers and put them on our desk like the first week so she could remember our names.
yeah, I was when I went to when I was going to college, I remember teachers being like that, the for the first couple of weeks, and then because the
Mhm.
classes were like once a week, not every day, but once a week. So
They
she would,
probably like take picture and then like memorize, go home and like memorize everyone's name. Okay, they're there, and then they make you sit in the same spot so they can remember.
uh well, we're going to wrap everything up. Let's take a look at our poll real quick before we go to before we do that. Just run these through these real quick. So the first question: how many times have you started a new job? We're at looks. Oh wait, let me bring it up. We got one response too. Let's see, we got I'm sorry, 0 to 5 at
Oh, wow.
83%.
Okay.
13% with 13 to 30, and 4% with 6 to 15, and 0% so far for 31 plus. So I guess I'm definitely in the minority here. So I'm getting close to the
Yeah.
40 plus range. So, and multi something. Oh, Mohammed. I'm sorry, Mohammed. I couldn't even read it. It said first player vote. Okay. Okay. That's cool. And then we go to our next question. Let's see. Oh, that's the first. Is that the same one?
Um,
Hold on a second. Oh, here it is right here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's the longest amount of time you've been at a job or career? And 0 to 5 years at 69%. That seems about right. I'm sure a lot of people probably
Yeah.
leave after a while. 17% with 6 to 10, and
That's next,
yeah,
yeah.
10% with that, and 11 to 15, and only 3% with 16 plus. So yeah, and like you were saying earlier, if you stay at a job 16 plus years, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
alrighty.
once you get higher up and once you're there longer, you get more vacation. So it's like, do you really want to leave? That's where I'm at. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm leaving, and I just finally got like 2 weeks of vacation or 3 weeks of vacation, and now I'm leaving, and now I have to work my way up again.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, it depends on what you have, because I when I was working at WTOP, there was all union, so a lot of union
mm,
jobs you get the same regardless. You don't really get as much more for some reason. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. I've worked at jobs where you get more as you progress. So, but
yeah.
alrighty. Well, I'll go ahead. Before we go, I want to remind everybody, if you'd like to support what we're doing, we have the affiliate link for NordVPN in the affiliate link below. If you decide to purchase that, that would help fund what we're doing. Anything else you'd like to say, Katie, before we wrap everything up?
Um, just if you're looking for a new job or in your current job, just to make the best of it, and yeah, and enjoy.
Enjoy. And also remind everyone to be safe with the big storm that's coming through, especially you,
Yeah,
Katie. So,
you. Yeah.
okay. Alrighty. We'll see you next time.